So you had some guys with gloves on because it's too cold on both sides of the wings to make
Right.
sure you're not crash landing.
Right.
Every time
Every
they
time.
land.
Every time it lands. Yeah.
Incredible.
Now I'm not on film, but I think I told you I had a private license at one time. I don't have it anymore because I stopped flying. But I mean, I kind of understand what can go wrong because I had plenty of stuff go wrong when I was a private pilot.
Right.
I had to emergency land once on I-75.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I understand what goes wrong, but a good pilot really doesn't have that much of a problem as long as you don't panic.
Now, would you be turning left if your left wing had extra gas? If that one was heavy, or do you turn into the heavy one, or do you turn away
Obviously,
from?
there would be more friction on that one.
So is that you would turn left?
So
if
you'd
the,
have to
or it's
be
opposite?
flying. In other words, if there was that much of a fuel difference, you'd have to be on. If it was heavy left, you'd have to be on your right rudder. Otherwise, it's not that so much the plane will tip this way; is that it'll yaw
Right.
this way. Okay, so
Well,
you
it's the
have
same
to
thing when
stay
you-
on your
yeah.
right rudder and keep the stick a little low.
And this makes sense. So I had to do landings in my Cessna. I did 152, 172 Cessna, and we did it on. It was a small grass field that we would land on, and there was trees on it, and we had to be very careful
you had
of the
to do
wind.
You had to do a short field landing and takeoff.
Well, yeah, I mean that too wasn't so bad, but we had to work. The wind was. We had to worry about wind coming from. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was always like the north side of it, so we had to keep that wing down.
My very first solo cross country. When I came back, there was 35 knot crosswinds at Perry Airport. That's what I flew out of, and I had the wing dipped,
Right.
but when I landed, it really jerked the plane back the other way. And I got in, and my instructor, he was funny. He was a Swedish guy, young. He was like 25. So he goes, "Okay, Joe, how was your flight?" I said, Good. He said, "How about your landing?" I said, "Well, I had a little bit of a problem, but I corrected it." And he said, "You must be a really good pilot because nobody has landed in the last hour."
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I said, "Oh, okay, lesson learned."
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were shooting you to another airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
Yeah. So it comes down to, so you wanted to see personally what it took to land that actual plane.
Right.
And so you were one of the people that held the wings as it flew
Right.
in.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
So would it take off and land at the same, I would assume the same airport?
Yeah. It was, not on, it was at Utapao, Thailand.
So there is I don't know how much I can talk about this. I was told about, what they call it. It was like Operation whatever, and they would, a personal plane would take off, and then the U-2 would take off, and then they would fly next to each other till they got to the altitude where the personal plane would keep going with its own manifest and destination, and then the U-2 would just keep going up. So the radar would pick up one plane as opposed to, and it would be the one going, with the manifest, not the spy plane that's going around.
The other thing too about the U-2s is they have to be refueled as soon as they take off.
Really?
Yeah, they burn so much fuel.
With the SR-71s burn a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
I didn't know the U-2s did.
And conversely, they dump as much fuel as possible.
They dump
on
before they land.
Because, to avoid
So
that.
so
wet
where are
weather
they
problem.
refueling?
Right there. Oh, I mean in the air. Yeah, right up they took
Like
off.
immediately, as soon as they get to
Yeah.
altitude, there's a plane waiting
Well,
for
no,
them?
before they got to altitude. Right.
Before
after
they got to
took-
altitude.
Right. Yeah.
Because the fueling plane can't get that high.
Right. Exactly.
They would get more.
Yep.
So they just want, is that just because they want to be light when they went up?
Yeah. Well, that's the point. They want that takeoff and landing
To be
to
light?
be as, you know,
I don't.
low wet wing as possible.
Okay. We'll stop right there real quick.